Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. I am a 45 male living a decent life, and I own a small-time landscaping business. I have a buddy named Brad, whom I've known since kindergarten. Our families are super close, and after our marriages, we had kids around the same time too. His wife and mine are also very close. He has a son named Mike who is 3 months older than my daughter Katie, 20 female. They went to school together, played together, and even went on trips together. Sometime around middle school, Mike started hanging out with the wrong crowd and became a big bully. His biggest target was Katie, who's on the quiet and nerdy side. He would call her names, reveal secrets she had confided in him while growing up to the whole school. He would pull at her clothes, put gum on her hair, and trip her over in the cafeteria. Katie came home crying for days, and so I decided to talk to Brad. When I did try to speak about it to him, all he had to say was, Mike's being a typical teenage boy. They are all like that. It's just a phase. I was so upset that he wouldn't reprimand Mike, but didn't want to ruin the friendship. But over the next few months, the bullying got worse. So I removed Katie from that school and put her in another one, and kind of cut ties with Brad and the family. Both Mike and Katie graduated high school and joined different colleges, and our families now had a hi-bye kind of relationship. It so turned out that Mike did not mend his ways, and when he went to college, he got arrested for assaulting someone at a frat party and eventually dropped out of college. About a year after that, Brad appeared at my doorstep with Mike. Brad bought a huge bottle of whiskey and was trying to be all nice and lovely. After a lot of small talk, Brad had the audacity to ask me to give Mike a job because he was struggling to find jobs due to the assault charges. He went on to say how smart Mike was and how unfair the world was to him. I gasped, looked Brad straight in the eye and said no. Brad was in disbelief initially and told me that this was not the time to collect dues. When I didn't budge, he got mad and started screaming and cussing at me in my own house. He said I was being an ass and that I owed his son a job because of our friendship. When I reminded him about what Mike did to Katie and many others throughout his high school era, and how Brad had not said a single word to his son, he said, "Oh, they were just children, and Mike bullied her because she was acting smart, because she was getting better grades. He just put her in her place." I was beyond shocked at this revelation, and without asking for any explanation from Mike, I asked them both to get out and never show up at my place again. Since then, Brad has gone out to our mutual friend circle and even the church circle that I was a petty asshole who enjoyed ruining his kid's life over some petty middle school drama. Now I'm left wondering if I truly am the a-hole. Update. Mike did manage to get a job at our local grocery store. Every time he crosses my house on the bike, Brad got him for securing the grocery store job. He shows the middle finger. He worked at the grocery shop for about 2 months, after which he was fired. Mike tried to assault the store manager because he wouldn't give Mike a last-minute day off to go watch a football game with his friends. Good riddance. Mike is currently jobless, but has still not learned from his mistakes. You're not the a-hole, OP. Brad and his son are. Mike's behavior makes sense now. He got it from his father. A good parent would not have indulged him and let him get away with bad behavior. Being a teenage boy does not excuse bad behavior, and it's not just a phase. Mike is the perfect example of that because he didn't grow out of the phase. He only got worse. If I were in your position, I would have done exactly what you did. You did not owe them anything. However, they still owe your daughter an apology. I hope Brad realizes his mistake and he tries to put his son on the right path before it's too late. Story 2. A bit of context here. My roommate and I were formerly best friends since we were 15 when we both arrived at our boarding school as new sophomores. For our senior year, we were placed together as roommates, and wow, it has been a nightmare. She constantly belittles me and makes up partial rules while completely disregarding anything I might have to say about bettering the room. It's very frustrating and we fight nearly constantly. Take today. Our room is shaped like a perfect square with a tiny cube on top of the smack center of the room next to the window. Our room is small as hell, so our beds are pushed together at the feet to maximize space and pressed against the wall next to the cube. The cube is perfectly in the middle of our two spaces, so it's a pretty neutral ground, or I thought it was. A few days ago, I noticed that she had put a yoga mat down across the entire cube and pushed my bags and things that I need to access regularly for after-school sports under my bed in a rather inconvenient spot that was kind of a pain to get to. I asked her politely if she would mind not using my half of the cube, since it is technically in my half of the room, and I would like to use it to keep some of my things there, since storage is already not available to us. She proceeds to get very angry, accuses me of trying to start an argument for no reason, and calls me crazy. She justifies her use of the cube by claiming that she does homework back there sometimes, and that she wants it to sit and to have more space. She did say that I could sit back there and do work myself, but that leaving stuff there would be an inconvenience to her when she wants to sit back there when the weather gets nice. I'm pretty pissed, I won't lie. This is the girl who wouldn't let me put a beanbag back in the space, has a pipe running alongside her bed that she refuses to use to hang non-machine dryable clothes, and instead takes up all the space on our center pipe on laundry day for her wet clothes, and then refuses to let me use the pipe on her side of the bed when I say that I need space, and just generally is rude to me for the sake of her own amusement. I don't think she has said a single nice thing to me this year, and I try incredibly hard to be a good friend and roommate to her. When I tried to move out, she said I'm being dramatic, and said that I would be screwing her over if she needed a new roommate. She accuses me of getting changed in front of the window on purpose, but then opens up the shades to the room when I'm in the shower, so that when I come back, I have to climb over our beds while wet to close the shades, when she refuses to shut them again. The fact that she called me crazy for just asking for my half of the room infuriated me, to be honest. Am I the a-hole for asking her to move her stuff? And if so, how can I apologize? If not, how can I tell her to F off? You don't sound like the a-hole, OP. I think the best decision you can make now is to change rooms. Go make a complaint if you have to. And you don't have to apologize for wanting her to not use your half of the space. All you did was tell her about something she did that you didn't like, but she chose to blow it out of proportion and even call you crazy. You don't have to tell her to F off, it won't work. What you have to do is leave the toxic environment. Now for some comments. I don't think you're an a-hole here, but if she wants to use the space, you should be able to find a way or two to let her do that. Just ask her to ask you to move your things instead of moving them for you. Maybe consider moving your beds too, so that you have a bit more space to yourself, even if it's less free space. I would also recommend you take some of these squabbles to an RA or someone who can help mediate them. I think using your space is not necessarily bad unless it actively intrudes on your personal space at the time. If she wants to temporarily lay a yoga mat and take it away afterwards, then I think she should be allowed to. Again, unless you were, say, using that space or you felt like she was too close for comfort. If she leaves her yoga mat in your space non-stop, then she's definitely an a-hole because she doesn't let you leave the beanbag chair. But I understand her logic for not leaving things on the beanbag chair. What I think is that you two are clearly not compatible roommates, but it's time to set some fair ground rules that she has to abide by. Write it down if you have to. It works. We can use each other's room space as long as it doesn't involve the beds, and as long as we return to our side of the room exactly as we found it. If we're distracted by the space usage at the time, we will calmly communicate that, and the other person should oblige. No permanent fixtures in each other's spaces. This means no beanbag chairs, no yoga mats, unless you are planning to packing it up immediately afterwards. The center pipe should be perfectly divided. We can borrow space from the other side if needed, and if the other person is absolutely not using it, but the owner of the side retains full priority for any reason whatsoever. Story 3. First of all, I want to clear up that this might have been the tip of the iceberg of the relationship. Not that everything was amazing. My girlfriend and I had some jealousy issues going on, but since the beginning of the relationship, I made it clear that I did not have any feelings for my ex and that I'm indifferent with her. But I don't hate her because she helped me through one of the worst times of my life. While her, on the other hand, thinks you have to hate your ex like she does with a burning passion for you to actually be over them. Anywho, she's a big Instagrammer, she takes it very seriously and posts very risque pictures all the time. and it bothers me a bit, but not enough to cause anything in our relationship. She gets hundreds of likes from thirsty guys messaging her non-stop as well because of the pictures she takes, and her exes messages her on Instagram and likes her pics. She responds sometimes and sometimes she doesn't. Then my ex posted a normal picture of her and a friend in a park in New York. I'm from the South, so she's pretty much gone out of my life forever. And a fully clothed, non-sexual picture at all, and I liked it. She screenshots it and yells at me, calls me name, etc. She then makes me unfollow her account on Instagram and to block her. Like I said, she, my ex, helped me through a tough time in my life, so I don't hate her and we're cordial. But I have a new girlfriend who I chose to be with, so I blocked my ex to ease her mind. 1 month passes and Instagram glitches and shows I'm following my ex on Instagram still for some reason. She screenshots it and sends it back to me and breaks up with me, calls me all these names and stuff, says her friends all agree with her, and I tell her I'm not even following my ex on Instagram, and I totally forgot that the situation even happened. I let her log in my account and my ex is still blocked on IG, but she still proceeds to break up with me because it's my fault for her to even feel that way with me and my ex, and she can't trust me. Some notes to think about. 1. My ex does randomly text me here and there, but the texts never last more than a couple exchanges. Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, etc. So maybe my girlfriend thinks that I could still be interested in her. 2. I did tell my ex that we shouldn't text. When me and my girlfriend first got into a relationship, because I'm in a relationship and I showed my girlfriend this text. 3. My ex talked about her ex all the time, in good and bad ways. I had to tell her to stop and how I feel about it because everything that comes up that reminds her of him, she has to tell me for some reason, whereas I never brought up my ex once. Which is why I'm confused about this. 4. We both have jealousy issues as well. I get tired of guys hitting on my girlfriend all the time from the pics she posts, and her not saying anything shutting them down, which I'm most likely in the wrong. And she believes I shouldn't have any friends that are girls, even my best friends that are girls way before me, and her even got into a relationship. When it comes to her guy friends, it's okay because they're like brothers to me. Please be honest if I'm the a-hole here. I'm not posting this at all to hear what I want to hear. I want you guys to tear me up if I'm an ass. I know I kind of made it seem lopsided, but these are based on facts. I must have really low self-esteem or something, cause even after typing this out and having clarity, I still think it's my fault. Now for some comments. I'm sure your girlfriend's dramatic responses to your actions made it feel like it must be your fault. But trust me, it isn't. High levels of jealousy and double standards are signs of a very unhealthy relationship. I don't think your girlfriend is emotionally ready to be in a relationship right now. She needs to work on herself and get her jealous tendencies and blatant hypocrisy in check. You're definitely not the a-hole. Not only is she an a-hole, she has other issues as well. It's one thing to get jealous of you liking an ex's picture, but she has to know from the beginning that you haven't removed your ex completely from your life. The fact that she hoes around on Insta and talks to her exes on there makes absolutely no sense for her to be mad at you, further proving she's insecure and has many issues. She did you a favor ending it. Don't second guess it. OP, I have been this girl, and let me tell you that it was entirely because of my own effed up emotional shit. When I look back now at all that anger I felt when something didn't go my way, and all the jealousy I felt in the relationship at the time, I remember how insecure and anxious I felt. It was not always my boyfriend's fault, and I could never admit that I was wrong. It's a good thing you guys have broken up. She needs to deal with her own emotional issues before she gets into a relationship. Until then, she's just going to keep doing what she's doing. You have done all the right steps to make this easy, but you need to step back, take time for yourself, and move on.